Like every year around this time in December, this Christmas will be one to remember.
Hi, I'm Kenny Lattimore, and I am super excited to be sharing with you my latest album, A Kenny Lattimore Christmas. Now, Christmas is a very special time, a very unique time when really the world stops to celebrate the birth of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And it is also a unique time where families get together and we love on one another and share quality time. So it is priceless.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, it's the season to worship you. Sing hallelujah, hallelujah. Oh yeah, hallelujah. It's the season to worship you. Hallelujah.
All right, everybody, we got R&B sensation, Grammy-nominated musician extraordinaire, Mr. Kenny Lattimore on the line. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I'm doing fantastic. Hey, thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to have you. We're kicking things off right here for Old School 99.5 in St. Louis.
Ah, nice.
So I wanted to talk to you. You are gearing up to release your first ever Christmas album.
Yeah, first ever Christmas album, and actually it's my first ever solo gospel and inspirational album too. So it's a combination of things on this project that weave together seamlessly because of the holiday theme. So I'm real excited about it. So I worked with a gentleman named Aaron Lindsay, who produced on the gospel end Israel Houghton, so huge hits, or Marvin Sapp's Never Would Have Made It, big, huge gospel songs like that. But at the same time, he's worked with India.Arie and various other artists. So we put together, I think, a nice organic sound, a lot of live instruments, and took me back to my roots. That's what I really felt like, especially with the live instrumentation.
Absolutely. So we're looking forward to your 11-track project. So we got to hear you in 96 on Jermaine Dupri Presents 12 Soulful Nights, and then in 1999 on Touched by an Angel. But why are you choosing to drop a Christmas album now at this point in your career?
You know what? It's interesting. The catalyst for me doing the album at this exact time was Dave Koz. I am doing a tour with Dave Koz right after Thanksgiving, and it is a Christmas-themed tour. Jonathan Butler is on it, and the legendary Valerie Simpson from Motown days and beyond, because she and Nick Ashford had a huge career. I think they were at Atlantic Records. But Dave and I were talking about doing this tour, and I said, yeah, I want to go out. It'd be a cool way to end the year. And he was like, you should have a Christmas album. And I was like, a Christmas album? Yeah, that sounds pretty cool. But then I thought to myself, how am I going to get a Christmas album? Because I knew I was going to do this tour before I knew I was going to do a Christmas album. So I made some phone calls, and some of my friends in the industry were like, please bring it over here, or please bring it over here. So we figured out that the best place to do it, well, for me at the time, I thought was Motown Gospel, because I knew that they had just done India.Arie's album. They had done Aaron Neville's Christmas album. They've done a lot of that space. And whenever you're trying to figure out a label partner or a business partner to go and do something interesting with, you just want to make sure that they've done it before, that there's a real authentic passion for it, so that it's not just a record that just comes out and sits on the shelf somewhere. So we were very happy to be able to partner with Motown and Motown Gospel to do it.
Absolutely. We're definitely looking forward to this. And I'm sure your fans can pick up very easily on your passion and the soul of your music. But we know you more as an R&B artist or a secular artist.
Right.
But I also know that you are a church boy by nature. So how have you been able to switch between secular music and gospel?
You know what? Very gingerly, with a lot of pain, to be very honest. I think that when I first came out, and the reason why I say with a lot of pain, because lots of criticism came with me doing the R&B. But it's interesting. We just live in a world where the more success you have, the more people shift, and they just kind of get with the program. But I kind of lived in between two worlds, where I wasn't sexual enough in some aspects of the R&B business, and I wasn't giving some of the R&B executives what they wanted, so they called me to gospel. And then at the same time, I wasn't really singing the gospel. I might put a gospel song on every album, but my lyrics tend to be more inspirational because of my own ideals about love and the types of messages that I believe I'm supposed to give. I've had over the last 3 years of rediscovery of musical purpose. And it probably, rediscovery might not even be the correct word, but it's the first thing that comes to mind, in reestablishing my mission, and that is to sing to the hearts of women and to the minds of men, to encourage them in love, and that's what I really wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that when I got on stage and I authentically tell my story, that I'm able to talk about life and love in a way that is real to me and what my values are, as opposed to it just being a show or what everybody else's ideas are. So straddling in between there, as you know, people talk about straddling. I don't think I had to really do that as much as I had to just authentically be me. I think that music speaks to every aspect of our lives. If when I was making love to my wife, I was not doing that to Shirley Caesar. I was that was with Marvin. We put on some Marvin Gaye and some Minnie Riperton or something, you know. But if I'm out and I'm just having a good time, you might hear Drake, or you might hear Ro James or somebody. And then if I'm chill, some days I might have Coltrane on or Nat Cole or whatever. You know, but all of those types of music genres are things that are authentic to who I am and things that I've listened to, that I've grown up on. And I also grew up as a classically trained singer. So doing all of those forms of music, when I do my show, I think I'm able to showcase all of those things and people begin to understand who I am more. But in general, when people first hear you, they want you to be categorized into one dimension. And but I'm kind of all of those things.
I love it. I love that you won't let anyone box you in, and that you're unapologetically who you are. That's
totally,
beautiful.
absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate that.
So you've been heralded as king of the love ballad. The New York Times called you the modern soul man. What do these titles mean to you?
Well, I love it because it means that mainstream media has seen something that they identify with as decent, good, sometimes great, and so it's very validating when a mainstream media who sees everybody that's anybody come through, but says, okay, this person, there's something that we should be watching about this person because there's something special there. That's what it really feels like hearing that. There has been an intentional wipeout of black R&B artists that appeal to adults. Hence, we started hearing R&B is dead for a long time. Whoever decided that was the campaign they were going to go on and start to say that was like really ridiculous. There are more African-American adults, if you just look at the women, that make lots of money, that are huge consumers, that want to be serenaded and want to be told that they're loved, and they're not always the downloader. It's not the kids necessarily. They come to the concert, they buy a T-shirt, they buy dinner, buy wine, they have the expendable income and love music. But the industry itself, someone or maybe several companies just have decided that they are not going to market to adult urban listeners. And if they are going to market to adult urban listeners, it's not going to be black artists. That's just something we just see. Nobody can deny that. We just see it.
I mean, so who do you think, in your opinion, is championing the cause, I guess? I don't want to say best, but like, who is someone that you kind of patting on the back and, you know, I see you, bro, or sis?
John Legend, who still has infused hip-hop and adult R&B and is considered pop. But when John Legend came out, he was able to come through that door because of Kanye West and those that are hip-hop that are in power. we have to look at, I think, the hip-hop artists as those that are truly in power of the music industry at this moment, the Drakes, the Jay-Z's, Beyonce's, all them. But what would be interesting is if those artists reached back to take a legendary African-American artist with them, which is something that we see pop music do. Mm-hmm. We don't see it in black music. And when I say that, I don't mean Kanye, go out and give Stephanie Mills a record deal for $5 million. No, that's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying, looking at an artist like a Stephanie Mills who's still amazing and can sing her behind off, or Howard Hewitt or whoever, the artists that came before that really paved the way and broke down barriers for black music, or kept a sound alive that their parents listened to, so they're influenced by all of that, making a way for that music to be exposed in its genre to its community. But it's almost like there's this huge separation now that I think is a disservice, because when we were growing up, I listened to my parents' music, and I had my own music too. You know, I think a lot of us did before radio was as segregated as it is now. But I think that those are the ones that are in power, the hip-hop artists who listened to R&B growing up. And they did, because hip-hop, we didn't have as much hip-hop then. Now it's grown where there's lots of variety of artistry. So it's that kind of thing that I'm just thinking about. And really, I'm just thinking right off the cuff, I'm saying this. It's not something I've ever thought about deeply before. But just as you asked me that question, this is what's coming to mind right in this moment.
I'm happy that I could help you voice that, and I think that's something worth hearing, definitely for the artists and the fans alike.
Yeah, thanks. And because there's still a lot of people out there who are doing R&B, but again, if they're never exposed, then we do start to think, oh, well, maybe people aren't making anymore. You know, if I'm not promoted and people are going to come up to me and say, are you still singing? And you're like, I just made an album last year called Anatomy of a Love Song. But if it never gets the exposure for people to hear it, it can't be a hit.
Absolutely. So how do you think fans, I guess, can better support the artists? Right? I think sometimes I wonder if consumers, if we understand the power that we truly have. So as an artist, what can we do to better?
A lot of artists, you know, it's almost, I feel sorry for the consumer sometimes, because the consumer is bombarded with a lot of things. But I think that what a consumer can do is just Google various artists and see what they're doing. It's almost like a research. And it's not that I feel like everybody has time to research me or something, you know what I mean? But in terms of the real music lovers who, once you've heard all your favorite things, and the holidays come especially, where we're home and we're kind of chilling, we kind of get into the computer a little bit, it's not as much happening. Just look up a couple of names of some people and see if they've actually put product out. If an Eric Roberson has a new album out, or Music Soul Child or whoever, and they may have had an album that you missed, and then you could go back and check it out. And I'm not going to say that you're just going to love everything you hear either, you know, but it would be interesting to listen to it. What is great about this day and age is that you can listen to the stuff without buying it initially. On the YouTubes and all that kind of stuff, and it does exist. I think it's still the greatest battle.
Yeah, I think that's something millennials probably own a little better than the more mature crowd, is that we're able to put on our favorite, social media celebrities, because we're just a little more empowered to look things up. So I think that was very important to share with this particular demographic, just take it upon yourself and go find what it is that you want to hear.
That you want to hear, that you love. And then we don't have to sit around and complain about how much I hate radio. They keep playing the same songs over and over again. We have such a variety now, even having the Pandora stations and the Spotifys and all the, because there are different types of media, but they all exist. And this is an age where we should take advantage of it. We should take advantage of it all.
Absolutely. I just paid my Spotify subscription today. So in a recent interview, you were described as a Christian sex symbol, or you described yourself rather as a
Oh,
Christian
the Christian
sex
sex
symbol.
symbol.
Explain that. What does that term mean?
Oh my gosh.
How does
Well,
that work?
I think I was a sex symbol because my music was sexy, and what happens is you put on a nice suit or a dress or whatever, and if you have sex appeal, which is something you either have or you don't. I think that some people have it. You don't have to put it on. For ladies, I guess when Denzel Washington walked into the movie scene, and this is still very adult. I don't know who Michael B. Jordan. Does Michael B. Jordan, if he has sex appeal and he's on camera and he just has it, everybody's looking and they're like, whoa. Just like if Kim Kardashian walks in, I'm sorry, that might not be the best example, but Megan Good always had it. I think Megan Good didn't have to put on anything. When she walked onto a camera, it was like, whoa, she has sex appeal. So when people, the reason why the Kim Kardashian thing comes to mind is because we just live in this age of how do you enhance and how do you become. But some people naturally have it, and it doesn't have to be over the top. So for me, I was a part of an industry that was about love and romance, and when I began to perform and all of that, I don't proclaim myself to be a sex symbol. The media or your fans proclaim that, either if they think you're sexy. But at the same time, I happen to be a Christian, so I wasn't selling it. So that was the only real meaning of the statement. It was like, I'm a Christian, and I'm not out I wasn't busting out of my shirt trying to show how ripped my abs were and all that. Trey Songz has it. I think Trey Songz, not only does he have the sex appeal, he does sell it. That's two different things, and it has its place. But for me, what was interesting was when I wanted to be a part of the music industry, I wanted to be like BB and CeCe Winans initially, and but that door did not open to me. A whole different door did, and when that door opened, I had to figure out what I was going to be, what I was going to say. So I started singing songs like, for you, I'd give a lifetime of stability, anything you want of me, or I'm never too busy for you, or can we find forgiveness in the throes of our misunderstanding? Saying things like that, I think, still hits the emotion of a woman, and it broadens the appeal, sexually of, hearing this man say this, but I wasn't necessarily selling sex. I think that was the only point I made. Hopefully that was clear.
Yes.
That made it clearer.
That did make sense. And for the record, I definitely still listen to Never Too Busy quite often.
Thank you.
That song definitely makes me feel special. So thank you for timeless hits like that. Speaking of which, there were 5 years between Timeless and your most recent release, Anatomy of a Love Song. Why was there a big break, and can we now expect more consistent releases? Because it's only been a year since that one, and we have something else to look forward to from you. So,
yeah, absolutely. During that time period, people that cared know that I transitioned with my family, and a very amazingly talented and beautiful singer, Chante Moore. And what ended up happening was I needed to spend more time really raising my son, because whenever you're in a relationship, there are different people that take on different roles, and they're not always a typical role. I'm more parental, like I'm extremely the administrative as well. So I really administrated and took care of my son's entire life, although his mother and I had joint custody of him from day one. And I know people watch the television shows and, all kind of things that were sensationalized to try to understand what was going on in our lives. But remember that television is sensationalized so that you'll watch it and all that good stuff. A lot of the stuff was not true that was on the television show. However, what was true was both of us had custody of our son, but I still carry more of the weight. And during that time period, I would perform here and there, but I spent a lot of time, so that I was at the school grading papers and, taking the kids on the field trips and all that, because that's who I am. It doesn't make me better than his mother. That's just who I am. So that's the role that I've always played, even when we were married. I always did that. So during that time period, it took a minute for me. I would record here and there, but it wasn't until, Anatomy of a Love Song that I felt like, well, he's just about a teenager now, and he can understand when I say, okay, son, I'm going to work, and I'm going to go out. And I'd take him with me, even in that 5-year period. I took him to Africa, and I took him to film sets. And, so when I think about Tommy Ford, God rest his soul, as my son and I are talking, Tommy put him in a film that I was doing because I would just have him with me. And we needed that. I don't even know if I was smart enough to say this is what I really need to happen for my son. I think that God just blessed me with that time so that when I look back, I go, oh my gosh, this was significant. I'm so glad I was there, because there are memories that my son will have now that he'll never get back again. His classmates, even, having a man of color in their classroom, in a school that he didn't go to a black school, if you will. He's in a very mixed school. It's like the United Nations, and it's wonderful. But when we go in there, those kids are like, hey, KJ's dad, hey, KJ, from every nationality. Those kids will not grow up with a stereotype that black men don't take care of their kids, or whatever they thought black men were. They got a chance to see a loving man who cared about them, who cared about his son, and was there with them in formative years of their lives. So it was just a really significant 5 years of me representing my family, who I am, and who black men are to a handful of people. Sometimes we think that the more people we're in front of, it makes it more important, but it's not. The handful of people that I was able to do that in front of were who I was supposed to do that in front of. The memories that I was supposed to set with my son at that time were those memories that we set. So, and now I'm able to go back to work.
Awesome.
And I still have to be there. I still got to be at my son's games and stuff on Saturday when I come in from work or whatever. But, that time period was really, I think, more necessary, particularly because of the transition of our family.
And I think it's beautiful you were able to touch lives outside of your immediate family as well. So that's pretty cool. It's a cool way to tell that story.
Thank you.
All right. I feel like this is a strong close, and you've already touched on it at several points, but I just want to see if we can tie this up with a little bow.
Sure.
If someone asks you, what is your legacy? Who is Kenny Lattimore? How do you want to be remembered?
There's a word that when I was in South Africa, and I can't say it in the Xhosa language because I know the most Americans listening are not going to really get it anyway, but I had some time in Africa where I was renamed Sincere. And I wanted to, I'm sorry, to your question, I want to be remembered as being a sincere soul, and that's the name of my record label, actually, that represents all of my intellectual properties with regards to my recordings, is Sincere Soul Records, because I'm not a perfect person. I know that. No one is. But I do have a heart for the things that are right and a love for people that is just undeniable. I absolutely love people and love sharing and giving information. I have a foundation called the Kenny Lattimore Foundation, and our 3 areas that we work in is arts, education, and mentoring, because I think about all of the things that I think I missed and the things that I think I had, and whatever the best things are or the things that I didn't have that I could give, I try to ball them into one and empower young people, empower people's lives. And it doesn't matter what age, because you can learn something from somebody. It doesn't matter just because you might be younger or what have you. You can still learn something if you're older. But in all of those things, I want to be remembered as somebody that was a sincere soul that gave his life for other people.
Wow. I can definitely feel your energy. The few times we've been able to interact, I believe you definitely are a sincere soul, and your music totally speaks to that. So thank you so much for sharing your time with me and sharing your music and your artistry with us, and definitely looking forward to a Kenny Lattimore Christmas. When is that drop?
October the 21st is going to be out, and I'm going to be on tour with Dave Koz. So check out KennyLattimore.com. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, all of the different social medias, and I have my website, KennyLattimore.com, that lists all of the tour dates and stuff. I'd love for people to come and check it out, and I thank you for using the power of this platform to give my project exposure. I don't take it for granted. I don't care how long I've been in this business. For someone to stop and say, hey, we want to talk to you and give your project exposure, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, every single time.
Thank you.
Right here on Old School 95.5, Mr. Kenny Lattimore. Thank you so much.
Take care. God bless.
Bye.